This is Chris Overstreet, the Redneck Gaijin, and it is time for Assetto Corsa. I'm going to be running quite a number of cars tonight around Brands Hatch Indy layout. That is the short layout. The idea is each car gets 5 flying laps, and then whatever the fastest lap is goes on a leaderboard, which I will edit in for YouTube. I'm going to push this one out because I last recorded one of these 6 months ago and never got around to editing it and putting it on YouTube yet. But this one, tonight's cars are going to go towards either a 12-week series that I'm doing in Race Sim Studios classic GT cars with the serial numbers knocked off, or a week from yesterday, I'm doing a special 5 races in one day, 5 15-minute races in British Touring Car Championship cars. And I've got to pick out a vehicle for both series. We did the test race for the GT cars Tuesday night, and I chose poorly, apparently. I got a podium, 3rd out of 9 racers, but that was mostly due to attrition because the car was slower than the other options, except when they crashed. And I was one of 2 cars that did not crash once during the race. Yeah, so anyway, this is going to be the first one. We're going to start off with the BTCC cars, and this is the BMW 330e M Sport. And doesn't that just roll trippingly off the fucking tongue? Anyway, we'll be doing default setups for all of these. A couple of these, which I've driven before, do have setups involved already, but I'm just going to go for the default one so I get the best comparison between them. Boy, that is so... Don't tell me this has push to pass. Ooh, I already don't like the way this handles. Anyway, first flyer. No, it's ERS, okay. Okay, it actually turns in okay to start with, but... it's twitchy as hell. Yeah, that tail is very happy, which means I'm very not. I can do without the twitchiness, but changes in setup will probably fix that. Everything else about this is actually not bad. Can I get anything more out of this? Yes, I can. Almost a second. Okay. 48.3. That's one of the faster times on our tote board, which you can't see because I don't have it on this computer. Now, the thing is, I expect all the BTCC cars to be competitive with that on time because these are all supposed to be more or less, well, not exactly the same car, but, how to say... well, they're supposed to be competitive. They're supposed to be in the same range. You don't need balance of power or bop to have them be competitive without weights or ballast or what have you. Anyway, next is going to be the Cupra Leon Competition. I'm just going to go out on a limb and assume that's either Spanish or Portuguese. I mean, it doesn't look bad as such, but it's, to my mind, it's a little bit too modern. I don't really like how the modern sports cars and stuff, like for example the Dodge Viper Hellcat, they don't look sleek and athletic like the old classic muscle cars did. It just looks like a big brick of an engine with the corners just barely rounded off. Okay, you absolutely have to dump the clutch from top revs to get any of these off the line from the looks of it. This is a lot more stable than the Beamer, at least to feel it. Rear end is not trying to go dancey dance all over the place. I can throw it in and I'm not worried about skidding or sliding out or any of that. Grip is tremendous. That's another 48 on the board. And there's time to be found yet. Okay, one more flyer to go. .48.136. That is slightly faster than the Beamer was. And this felt a hell of a lot nicer to drive, despite the fact that it is a front-wheel drive car. In fact, if I remember correctly, I was told that the Beamer is the only rear-wheel drive of the BTCCs. So yeah, liking this so far. Very much liking the Spanish car. Actually, I'm just now remembering I forgot to turn the webcam back on for this window. Hello. The Ford Focus. Blech. I am not fond of most Fords because I've owned Fords in the past, and they live up to their nickname, fix or repair daily. Yeah, you don't look it, but you are a hateful thing, and I'm going to have to drive you. All right. This one's a bit slidier than the Cupra. And I don't like the vacuum cleaner noise that the turbo makes. 48.148. We've already matched the Cupra's time. I think I could have gotten to the 47s if I hadn't just thrown it away on that last corner. Did it again. This car is just a little bit less grippy than the Cupra, and that's costing me opportunities, but even so, we have quite definitely beat it by about a tenth with one lap to go. Okay, 48.045 in that one, but although I got a tenth of a second better than the Cupra out of it, and it still handles better than the Beamer, I'm gonna say that out for right now. It's not quite as nice to drive as the Cupra. It's slippy in all the wrong places. So this is a car that I could come to grief in very easily, that I'm not really that comfortable with, and that's leaving aside my hatred of all things, well, almost all things Ford. I do like the Transit van. After the Ford comes the Honda Civic Type R. Now this one I ought to like because, well, a non-sports Honda Civic is my errands driver because it gets 40 miles a gallon. But I've raced in Honda Civics a couple times before and always been disappointed by them. Oh, come on. Also not quite as stable as the Cupra, but better than the Ford. And I take it back. Four-wheel drifting through corners is not my thing. Yes, less grip than the Cupra. But I matched... Whoops. That was... Okay, this lap is a scrub. This is the last go-around. And already I'm pretty sure we're not going to beat what we've already accomplished. Or maybe... No, we'll match it, but we won't beat it. And that's got us down into the 47s. The differences between these cars are very, very small in all reality, which is actually what you would want, both in sim racing and real life, if you're going to make a series with multiple makes. Now the Hyundai i30 Fastback in performance. It's too many damn names. And if you're going to give it a name, don't give it a name that sounds like a cut off a hog. Fastback, good God. I'm not liking the brakes on this one. Maybe my leg is getting tired, but I can't really get a good feel for the brakes on this one. And the grip was a bit better than the Ford and the Honda at first, but now very much not. Not getting particularly close to where the others were yet. Yeah, the braking is inconsistent. I don't have confidence in it. Okay, this 47.6. Okay, I'm pretty sure that what I'm seeing here is just me getting better at this approximate car. That these cars are not quite identical to handle, but they are so very close. But yeah, this one, the braking being less predictable, this one's not an option. Yeah, a little bit too slidey for my taste, but more importantly, the brakes aren't doing what I think they should be doing, and that is a killer for me. Okay, the NGTC Toyota Corolla GR Sport. Let's see what this can do. Boy, that was a hell of a screen freeze there. This isn't so bad. Brakes are a lot better than the previous one. Definitely less slidey than the Ford, but also definitely not as stable as the Spanish car. Screen freeze distracted me. I've got one lap left after this one, which is already pretty much scrubbed. Okay, full deploy for the last lap here. This is a good second choice. It's a little bit slider than I like it, I think. But it's fast. $47,495. Yeah, we are just whittling down the time just through sheer practice. So one more car, last of the British touring cars, the Vauxhall Astra. Hail Australia Fair. All right, ready, steady. The engine noise annoys me for some reason. I normally like deep engine growl, but this doesn't seem quite right. Bumpier than I like, but nowhere near as bumpy as the Beamer. More stable than anything except the Spanish car. Could not quite get it. Yeah, a tenth off the best in the other cars. This is... It's not bad. It's more stable than most. It's less bumpy than most. Well, it's less bumpy than the BMW, but it's actually bumpier than most of the others. It just doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel really good like the other one does. So, the GT Ferruccio 55 V12 engine. This is basically a Ferrari GT3 with the serial numbers filed off. There is also a Ferruccio 57, which we'll be trying out. And one other thing, the league that the BTCC is in allows you to use traction control and ABS, which under most circumstances I need badly. But the league that I'm using, that I'm going to be driving the GTs in, does not allow those things if they're not part of the car already. So setting these to factory instead of on, which means if it doesn't have them, it doesn't have them. No, it does not. That's what I figured. Okay. On the other hand, this doesn't have any ERS, so I don't need to worry about anything aside from the loud pedal and the stop pedal. Oh, hello, lockups. Yeah. Hadn't missed you. First flying lap. Here we go. Yeah, this feels very much like the Viper knockoff did, which is not great. The problem is it's got too much power for the rear tires to put down, which means it wants to spin out coming out of any corner. And I'm really not liking the frame drops I'm getting from the game as I'm doing this. Obviously, I've got a memory leak somewhere. But this thing is quick. Whoa! Okay, that lap's ruined, obviously. I've got one flyer left to go. All of those game stutters were really annoying, but 45.0, that is another very quick time, as you would expect from a GT3 car, even if it is one with the serial numbers filed off and allegedly from the year 2000. What worries me is, I may have said this already, I've been told that the fake Ferraris are the easiest of this group to drive. Oh boy. Now let's take out its brother, the Ferruccio 57. I tell you one thing, I don't like losing half my damn windshield to the advertising. And that one's ruined because I thought I was getting traction on the rear wheels, but they kept spinning up. Caught a curb, and that's another lap ruined. Three flyers to go. We still don't have one banked. We got one banked. It's 45.6. Last lap. Didn't beat our time. 45.5 was the best one in that. Still very fast, as you would expect. Not much to choose between it and its cousin, except this one is a little bit harder to control. The GT Lanzo. Is that supposed to be the Lamborghini? I don't know. Could be. I guess. I mean, it doesn't really look insane enough to be a Lamborghini, but then there's this rear end thing that's very Lambo-ish. Could also be an Audi. I don't know. Anyway, let's drive it. But first, tires. Yeah, it's on the mediums. Okay. Defaulting to mediums. Could probably get more time in on the softs, but we're going to go straight default setup and leave it at that. Whoa, hello. Yeah, just like the others, it does not like slippy places. And I've lit up the right-hand tire something fierce with that slide. Okay, curbs are a no-go on this thing. This is even twitchier than the Ferraris. God damn the stutters today. Okay, 3 down, 2 to go. One lap left. But 45.7 is as good as I can get out of this, and this is definitely slidier than the Ferraris are. So far, the Ferrari 55 is my pick, but we've still got half the other cars to go. Next car on the list is the GT Shadow V8. This might also be the Lambo. I don't know. Does it have anything cute to say about that? Weight includes driver. That's not really helpful. Considering that it's made up in a red, white, and blue livery, this might be a Corvette. Like I said, I'm not a gearhead. I don't know these things. At least, not a lot of the time. It's got a nice sound to it, I give it that much. I mean, this is what race cars sounded like to me when I was a kid. When I was watching the racing, because the adults in my family were watching the racing. I wasn't all that interested in it because it didn't really have anybody to root for with that. And for racing, for me, it's about the people as much, or even more so than the cars. This feels fast. Don't know whether or not it is fast. Okay, that was under braking and then some. It might have just been me, though. This feels so much nicer than anything that's come before, though. It didn't slide out on the curbs. Barely stepped out there in that corner. They want to lock up more under braking. That's the problem. In every other respect, this car is miles and away better than anything I've driven so far among the GTs here. But the fact that they lock up under braking easier, that's a problem. Okay, last lap coming up. Whoop, and there, it found the curb, and there went the time. Damn it to hell. Even so, I have a new favorite. So far, I'm liking the Shadow a lot better. I can learn to work around the brakes, and everything else is so much nicer. So much nicer. The GT Tornado V12. And that looks like a Porsche to me. Probably isn't a Porsche, but but it looks like one to me, so that's what I'm going to call it. I think this is what the winner of the test race was driving too, so. And after all the others being left-hand drive, this one's right-hand drive. That's throwing me off just a bit. Like a lot. And the glitches aren't helping either. Hello. And that's damaged, so one lap done. Get that fixed, and let's go out for 4 flyers now. After all of the left-hand drive cars I've been doing, I'm a little bit biased against this one because it's forcing me to rethink a lot. Get a lap in, please. Okay, this has also got the braking issues, I think. Technically, I'm the one who has the braking issues, but I'm going to blame the car anyway. Okay, 45.6. I need to beat 45 aught for this to even be in consideration. Yeah, this is also more prone to having the wheels spin up than the Shadow. Damn it. Okay, let's go ahead. I'm not going to repair this. This lap is obviously ruined, but we'll take one more flyer on the damage and see if we can work around it. I very much doubt we can, but there's no point in me pitting to go out for just a flyer at this point. No improvement. Yeah, this one is in the bin. So far, it is worse, just slightly worse, but worse in every respect that matters than any of the others up to this point. We've got one more left, and incidentally, the one that's left is the one that I actually drove in the test race. The GT Vortex V10. And that is unmistakably a Dodge Viper. Even I recognize that. And that's why I chose it. I chose it purely by looks. It looks unique compared to the other GT cars that were in the list. But it was also twitchy as hell and didn't have all that great tire grip. And there were three of these in the test race, and two of them were crashing constantly, and I avoided that only because I was tiptoeing around the track, driving very cautiously. All right. I do have a setup for this, but I'm not using it because we're doing apples-to-apples comparison default settings, which I have not done in my previous videos, bear in mind, but I'm semi-serious about this, so I want to be scientific. Yeah, this thing, well, this is still the outlap. The tires are still a little bit cold, but it already feels like these tires have a lot less grip than the others did on their mediums. Brakes aren't as good. Or rather, braking isn't as good. That might be a function of lesser tire grip as well. Oh yeah, compared to the others, that is hella slow. Must improve. Why must it improve? If it improves, I have to drive this piece of shit for 12 weeks. There is time to be had, but I'm still a second down on the Shadow. Okay, there's almost 4/10 back, but still way down. Braking, grip, do not have. Yeah, I only got one lap out of the 46s. This thing, the brakes aren't good enough, and more importantly, the tire grip is not good enough. I would say that this is actually, without actually looking at a list of all the times, this is the slowest of the 6. No, thank you. Now for the one car I have left to test before we can finish this up. And that is going to be the one that I'm currently driving in the Owned Tuesday series. I say one, there's technically 3 of them, but the Nissan Altima L33. This is one of a trio of mods, technically supercar mods, but they're really, the differences are all cosmetic. They are absolutely no different under the skin as far as the game is concerned. They handle exactly the same. And so far I'm not liking this because this really does spin out on a whim, and more importantly, it has 2 tire choices, the super softs or the softs, and the softs are fucking awful. And for this one, we are definitely not sticking with the default. We're going to the super softs, and we're going to drive those. Not going to change anything else. We're still going to default the rest of it, but the softs are like 4 seconds a lap around an average length track slower. Anyway. Brakes are not good. I should have turned the traction control and ABS back on too. I forgot about that. Because Owned allows you to use those. And I have been using those. But I'm not going to go back for it now. And the frame rate is going back to stuttering. The grip is really not great. In fact, the only thing this car has to commend it is its straight line speed. Handling is shit. Brakes are shit. Well, not as shit as they could be, but they're a long way from good. The super softs are the only thing that make them even halfway drivable because of the grip, and that goes away pretty quickly. Yeah, no grip compared to the GT cars. This is a lot more difficult to drive. Last flyer. And I've ruined it. I've really ruined it. Oh, did I mention the car's made out of papier-mâché? Because it is. Alright. 46.9, which, if I'm not mistaken, it makes it slower than any of the GT cars, and not that much faster than the BTCC cars. I'm going to be sticking with the supercar for a wacky race on a Hot Wheels track. The last time I recorded one of these, I really wanted to get this to work and couldn't. I found out that for whatever reason, I can only launch this mod in a content manager. So I've set things up with 23 other cars, which are a selection of, well, it's at least one each of everything I just tested. I'm the only one in the supercar, and I fully expect to come in stone cold last, mind you, but we will see what we can do about this. Assetto Corsa AI is going to do AI things, which is why I slowed down way early. Damn it. Ross Chastained it through there, but at least the engine didn't blow. Damn it. Well, now the doors match. I need to keep out of the walls from now on, or else the engine will die. Cooking the left front, didn't notice that before. Never strung 3 laps together before on this track. At least not in this car. Picking up limping lap traffic. He must have heavy damage. Usually if AI have that much damage, they bow out. Thank you. Now the AI has been slowing down in this curly queue. So I had to be careful there. 2 laps left. Okay, somebody dropped out. And how do you get a yellow flag when you can't leave the track? That's one way. Last lap. And there went the engine. Okay. That's it for us. Controls are locked for for a while. How the hell long is 3,360 seconds? Let me /60. An hour. To be precise, 56 minutes. Yeah, we are donezo. Session over. But it's a nice track. It's just that this particular car is not a winner. It really isn't. Now, the BTCC cars, those are all very good. And the RSS GT cars are pretty good. Some are better and worse than others. The Dodge Viper knockoff is particularly less so. But they're still all drivable. And in a single make of any of those could be quite fun. And, well, with the exception of the Viper and the Lambo from the GT cars, you can have the multi-make race, and it'll be almost perfectly even. Just those two cars, not so great. And the BMW among the BTCC cars, that also is pretty sad. Thanks for putting up with me doing these tests. Good night, everybody.